Hello everybody, welcome to another video from KJ's. Today I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how to make a snowman out of things from the dollar store. So here I have two fish bowls. I have the smaller size and the larger size. I have glitter over here. I have a thing of Mop and Glow. I have vinyl, black and orange. I have battery operated lights. I have ribbon, scissors, and off to the side here I have my glue gun. And I also have a little hat ornament. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. So I already pre-did two of the fish bowls here because they do take a little bit to dry before you can actually put the lights and everything inside of them. So I'm going to show you guys how I put the Mop and Glow inside and the glitter just to show you how I do it, but then I'm going to set these to the side and use the other ones. I do have two different glitters that I use to show you guys the difference. I have this glitter here. I believe it is from Hobby Lobby, I want to say, and it's just about empty so you guys can't really see it. I made a ton of these last year and I used this one here. It is a chunky, I don't know if that helps, but this one's a chunky glitter. And then there's this one that I also used last year and I've been using more of this year. I want to say I got this one from AC Moore maybe, but this one is very fine. I don't even know if you guys can see how fine that is in the video. So I do have two different ones here. This is what the chunky looks like. So the chunky glitter will look like this. Ignore the sticker, you guys won't see that. So there is the chunky, and this is the fine. So I do prefer the fine glitter. I had a few people who preferred chunky, so I ended up using that a lot last year. But for the most part, the fine just covers it nicely. More nicely, I should say. And I kind of like how it gives it a little bit more of the white look. But you do see the lights better through the chunky. So that's kind of your difference there. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys, sorry if you guys hear all the clicking and clanging in the video. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how to put the glitter in using the fine glitter because I do not have enough of the chunky glitter left. So I'm going to go ahead and grab a paper towel. I'm going to go ahead and put that down. I'm going to move this stuff out of my way. Move that to the side. And then I also grabbed two napkins. So I put one napkin on this side and one napkin on this side, and that gives me just enough padding. So this way, if anything drips out, it gets right onto here, and I don't have to worry about it messing up the table. So I do open my top lid of the Mop and Glow. I don't really worry about using the top here because it does clog if you don't constantly clean it out. Put that to the side. So you can get this from pretty much any grocery store really has it. I think I got mine from ShopRite or maybe Walmart. I know it really wasn't expensive at all. I know some people use, I want to say it's poly, I think they put in theirs, but it's a little bit too thick for me, so I'm not a fan of it. But I use this for my ornaments, anything glass that I'm putting glitter into, this is what I use. So I just go ahead and dump some in. It's a little bit more than I usually use, but that's okay. So whatever I don't use from here, I will dump into here. And then this will go back into the bottle. But you're just going to kind of just spin it. It's going to be hard to see in the video of how much it actually covers. But in person, you'll actually be able to see where it covers. Now you want to make sure that you get to the very end of it as much as you can. So you're just going to keep tilting it more and more. I do it over top of these. So this way, like I said, if I spill any, it just absorbs right away. That looks pretty good there. Just do another swoosh. And I'm going to take my bigger one, I'm going to put it here and dump it right into it. I'm going to let it sit for about 10 seconds, 15 seconds. You'll be able to see it like dripping a ton. So after a few, I kind of just shake it off a bit, and then you're just going to move it and put it right upside down. So this way, wherever it didn't get in the brim, it will now that it's upside down and draining. And you're going to do the same thing for the bigger one. Doesn't matter which one you do first. I prefer the smaller into the bigger, so this way I can put it right inside a lot easier if you do the bigger to the smaller. It will leak down the side. I'm just gonna keep moving it around. I know it's a little awkward to see since my hands are kind of circling it, but I get super close to the edge. Swishing around again. You just want to make sure that you get it all really good and covered. I'm going to take my bottle, put it over top. I'm just going to go ahead and put it right back in. Goes in pretty easily. I don't really have it spill too much on me. And then that just goes right upside down. Now these will have to dry for a couple minutes. About like 5 minutes. Now you can kind of give it a few shakes. You can kind of lift them up, move them around, make sure that they're draining right. You can usually see if there's a bubble or something somewhere or a blob. I do recommend making sure just picking that up and moving it around so it doesn't blob up. Alright, so these are going to be moved to the side for about 30 seconds. I'm going to show you guys the lights real quick while they start to dry. So these are dollar store lights. These are warm white. Not warm light. I usually use clear white, but I guess I got a bad pack because they don't work with the batteries. But again, it's personal preference. Some people prefer the warm, some people prefer the clear. So you could really use whatever. Some people even use blue or red or anything else like that inside. They come in a package that looks like this. Sorry, I know it's not the prettiest package. But you can get them from other places cheaper. I know Amazon has them cheaper and everything too, but you just have to be careful because sometimes they come in, like I ordered them from AC Moore when they were having like a huge sale last year, and they were ginormous. I mean, if I was able to cut them, I would have been able to use them, but obviously if you cut them, they're bad and they won't work, so I couldn't really use them for anything. They were just way too long, so this is like the perfect amount. So again, I got these from the dollar store. And they are battery operated, so it's super nice and convenient. So I'm gonna go ahead and put them back to the side. So now these are just about dry. Now obviously you don't want it super dry because then they won't stick. But you want them just enough where, you know, it won't be super wet either because then it'll kind of be all streaky, if that makes any sense. So as you saw here, I dumped the glitter in and you literally just shake it around just like you do with the Mop and Glow. So this will cover it all. You'll see a few spots won't cover. It's okay. If you go in and redo a spot with the Mop and Glow, it will wipe down wherever it hits. So if you put a line of Mop and Glow in here, the whole side here will end up being empty, because it'll re-wet the glitter and the glitter will just chunk. So if you have to restart, you will have to restart all together. So now I'm kind of just working my way to the bottom. Now I do this over top of here, so whatever falls in just falls. Now you don't really have to worry about the edges too much because it's going to be covered, but I still like to make sure they're covered just enough. Then I'm going to put this one back on top here. And I'm going to dump this in. Now I do keep a little plate next to me just in case, but I don't usually need it. But I just dump it in and work it around. Now you will dump too much glitter in at some points. You'll always have extra. I am going to bring my plate over here though so I don't get glitter everywhere. So it's going to start to fall. Don't mind the emojis. It's my niece's birthday last week, so we have a bunch of plates left over. But any plate works, really. Paper plate, I don't recommend using a regular plate because you're not guaranteed to get it all off. But now it looks pretty good. You are going to want to kind of give it a few taps. Most people will say, why are you tapping it? All the glitter's falling out. You're going to want to do that or else it's going to end up globbing up. So you're going to place it upside down again. Now you can see that it's kind of, there's a few globs here. So you are going to go ahead back over to the plate after it sits for a minute or two. So now that this one's sat, I can show you with this one. You're going to just put it over top of the plate and just give it a few taps on the tops, and two sides are fine. You don't really have to do all of them. I shake it a little bit And then that is how it's going to turn out. Now you can leave them upside down to dry. You can leave them, you know, on their bottoms to dry. Really doesn't matter. I usually do this a few times just to make sure, because if there's a ton of extra glitter, it'll all just end up sitting on the bottom. And then when people go and change their lights, if they have to for some reason, it's going to be kind of all over the place. Now the one good thing with the battery is it'll keep working through new batteries until the lights burn out. And then they'll have to open it up and replace them. But that is the process. So it takes about, I want to say about 10 minutes altogether from start to finish. It's a little bit quicker once, you know, if you're not recording. I'm sorry if I went a little bit quick, but it's super easy. You dump the Mop and Glow in, swirl it around, dump it out, let it sit for a minute or two, dump the glitter in, you know, swirl it around, dump it out. And again, this is where it's going to have to sit. So usually I recommend keeping them overnight, but 3 or 4 hours usually does the trick. So I'm going to put these to the side. I'm going to fold this up. And then it's easier with the plate too, because if you have a ton of glitter left over, you can just close it up and put it in. And seal that up. I'm just going to wipe the little bit of glitter off here. These really don't make too much of a mess, surprisingly, especially dealing with glitter. The ornaments make a little bit more of a mess, but that's because they're such a small opening, so I recommend working like on top of a cup or something of the sort. Alright, so that is how you go about putting the glitter in. Now these are dry. They've been sitting for, I want to say about 5 hours now. I'm going to put these ones over here now. Alright, so now I have my glue gun, the lights, I have vinyl that I cut out in the snowman's face, the buttons, and the carrot. I just used, this is 651, so it's permanent. You can use 631 for these, it'll be perfectly fine. But this is the snowman's face, the buttons, and the carrot for the nose. I will go ahead and post these on the KJ's Facebook page as well. I do have a little piece of clear transparent paper as well to go ahead and transfer them. You can find this at your local dollar store usually as well. And then the hat was also a dollar store buy from their ornaments. That is the brand. Pretty sure you can find these at other places too. There is a different one that I prefer. It's black. I did post a picture of my original snowman. They were out of them, so I had this one. I did just find one, but I have no idea where my fiance stuck it. So I'll have to ask Matt where he put it later. But for now, this one will work. This ribbon was from Hobby Lobby. I got it when it was on sale. I thought this was a really cute touch to it. And I do use a little bow, just to add a little something. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and actually put the lights right inside of our snowman. So you can turn them on or leave them off, it's whatever's easier for you. But you're just going to work them in. And they're kind of going to sit and they'll kind of do their own thing, as you can see. They like to fall out sometimes. Now, people ask, like, are the lights going to fall out? They usually stay pretty good if you have them in there. And you close them, they'll kind of stay, and you can kind of mess with them. Sorry, I know that's a little hard to see. Now, at the end of the day, they're all going to fall eventually. But again, people can kind of just grab them. I'm actually going to go down with these instead. So I think these stay better when the top's at the top. You kind of just, like I said, just play around with them a little bit. Make sure all the lights are in there. This one's going to keep popping off. That looks pretty good. You're not going to really see it too well in here, but they do look pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and shut them off. And even if it only lights up the bottom, it still looks really good anyway. So like I said, you can't really go wrong with it. So now you just want to make sure that the small one fits into the bottom one, into the larger one, so you don't really have an issue. Now I know some people use the 2 larger ones. That's where you're going to come into a problem because they don't actually fit. I do put some glue in here, so this is where I take my glue gun and I just run it right into where the creases are, so it just keeps it together a little bit. So I don't really use a ton. And sometimes it'll pop up like that. You just put it right back down. And if it decides to like run or drip, you can just run your glue gun tip along it. I do keep a paper towel near me so I can wipe it off once I'm done. This is super easy. There will be a little bit of a gap, so you're kind of just going to have to fill that as best as you can. This does dry super quick. So there we go. So I don't know if you guys can really see that. I can't really put it onto an angle while I'm gluing it. Then I just usually run my glue gun over it. I'm going to take a paper towel here. Ooh, drop that one on the floor. I'm going to clean that here. And then I usually just wipe it just a tiny bit. Usually it's pretty dry already, but just enough. And if I see that clumped up somewhere, I can just peel it off. That's the only spot that isn't completely dry. But everywhere else is already dry. So this is the back of it here, obviously, where you see the lights. So now the next thing that you can do is you can make sure that, like, there's a little opening here. Now the opening is okay if it's in a spot. You are going to end up covering this with the ribbon. This is where the ribbon's going to go, so it doesn't have to look super pretty when you put the glue on, but make sure that it's kind of even, or else you will see the bumps through the ribbon. So now I'm going to go ahead and put my ribbon on first, and then I'll put my dots on. So I did tape this. Let me try and get it apart. There we go. So I am going to cut it to right where I need it to be. Actually, I'm going to cut this piece off. Trim that. Alright, so I'll put that to the side. You just have to pick up the glue. So now I start at one end of where my lights are, and I'll glue it from here, and I'll go all the way around. Now you're not going to get it perfect. It's actually kind of stuck in the one spot because there's a little bit of glue. So some people, you know, you can go ahead and glue the same time as you do this, but I don't recommend it because it's so much easier just letting the glue here dry, because you want to focus on making sure these are put together. So I can now lift from the top and the bottom's attached. Now obviously you don't want to just carry it around like that, but it's together. So now you're going to put little bits of glue at a time, just like this over top of it, and you're going to work fast. So remember, it does get hot through the ribbon, so keep that in mind. And you're kind of just going to have to work with the ribbon a little bit. So I do like 1 inch at a time. So push it where you want it. It's going to get in there a little bit anyways, and if there's any glue like here, you can clean it off with tweezers or anything later. So we're just going to keep going around. That's a little bit much there. So you can just, if there's a big blob, you can always just move it with your glue gun as you go. So there's a little bit here. You can usually just pull it with your fingers as you go too, because it's not 100% set yet. I don't know if you guys can see this great. I'm sorry if you can't. But again, this is super easy to make. So as you can see, we're just about to the back. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and measure this. It is going to overlay and cross over. So I'm going to cut it about here. And now I'll just keep going until it's fully glued. Now you can start here and end here, so this little bit's open, but I usually just glue it over. I'm gonna stick that piece down in the glue and push that there. And then we just have this little piece. Now for this piece, I'm gonna do it actually on top of here. So this way, I don't go too far. Now you can run this over with the lighter, or you can trim it off. You might have to get like smaller scissors to trim it. But I usually do mine afterwards. I do recommend doing it first. I don't think these scissors really want to cut, but so that's what the back will look like. So here's around the front. So I'm going to go ahead and put my little tie on here. But I think I'm going to put my face on first, so this way I can get it a little bit better. Your ribbon will kind of be a little bit scrunched on you sometimes. That's okay. Like I said, it's just to decorate it some. So now we're going to put our face on, so I can go ahead and move my glue gun to the side and the rest of the ribbon, because that is it for the ribbon. I can't tell you what size I cut my bow to because I don't measure them out. I just cut them and put them together. So if there's a size that you like, I'd recommend like cutting a few pieces and measuring them and then seeing what you like to work with. So I do put my face on first. I usually have a little squeegee that I use to push it down on the back, but for something this small, you don't really need it. So this is a very simple face. Just circles and a carrot nose. That piece did move on me, but it's okay. One good thing about snowmen is that they do not have to be perfect. So now, one thing that I do, which I totally forgot to fix this from last year to this year, is that you're gonna have to put the eyes on, and then you're gonna have to put the mouth on separate. So I'm gonna do the eyeballs here, because if you put the mouth on, it goes all the way under, and I totally forgot to move it up a little bit, but that's okay. I think I'm gonna put the mouth around here. I'll just push it on. Again, like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect. It's a good thing about a snowman. And I do the nose. And then that is going to go right into here. So now you can do a little crooked, you could do it straight. I'm going to do a tiny bit crooked. I think in here. Let's fix this little piece though, because it's already stuck. Push that back. That looks pretty good there. Push that on, pull that up. You always want to make sure that you run your hand or your fingers over top of the vinyl again to make sure that it's 100% stuck. And then peel this back, and these are the 3 buttons. You can do whatever you want for the buttons. You can glue actual buttons on, you can make them into something else. I just like the circles. So again, these are spaced out a little much, but that's okay. And I'm just gonna meet from one end down, and push it this way, and then work my way out. I'm gonna peel that off. And there are his buttons. Now I'm gonna go ahead, so the buttons are a little bit off, but again, snowmen aren't supposed to be perfect, so that's okay. So now I'm going to go ahead and cut this off the top. I'm going to end up putting glue right on the bottom of here, or you can put it on here. I recommend doing it on here because it'll cool off a whole lot faster if you put it right on the glass. So I usually just go in a big circle or zigzags, it really doesn't matter. And then I just stick it right on top. So that's going to go onto the side a little bit. And that'll end up just sticking. So I don't know if you guys can kind of see underneath, but you don't really see the glue at all. And then the last, you're going to go ahead and put a dot of glue right here on your little bow, if you choose to use a bow. And flip it over. And I think I want my bow to go right here. I can kind of just push that on. make sure there's no glue. And that's it, guys. That is the snowman. So again, he's super cute. Leave the lights off. I think you guys can see it a little bit better. But there's the hat, his face, his buttons, the ribbon, and there's the back of him. So these will sit out in the back, but you can't really see them. So especially if it's up on someone's shelf or their mantle or anywhere really decorated. And then this way they still have access to turn it on and off as they please. So guys, that was it. This again is the fine glitter that I used, and this is the chunky. So you can see a lot more through the chunky if that's what you're going for. Again, this is the glitter that I used. I do recommend using better glitter than these though. I just haven't gotten around to getting a better white. So if you guys have any questions, concerns, comments, I'm sorry this video is a little bit longer than usual. I want to say it's about like a half hour long. I'm sorry about that. This little guy does take a little bit more time, but if you're not sitting and explaining, he takes about half the time to do. So if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, anything else, feel free to PM me or email me at kjs25@yahoo.com. Have a great day, guys.